Hello, welcome to my first Haikyuu texting video. This was quite fun to make and I hope you can enjoy. This story takes place in the canon Haikyuu time skip, so there are very slight spoilers. Also, a friendly warning, this video does contain cursing. Now on to the video.
In which Atsumu is at an all-time low, and Sakusa only wants to make him smile. Atsumu. Sakusa carefully placed a cover on the pot he was cooking with as he heard shuffling feet approaching from behind him. Atsumu had just gotten out of bed, standing there in the sweatpants and old shirt he had gone to sleep with. He was rubbing at his eyes with one hand, the other running through his messy faux blonde hair. "Good morning, Omi. How'd you know I was here? I can smell your toxic fumes from a mile away." Atsumu hesitantly lifted his arm and sniffed his armpit. "What are you on about toxic fumes? I smell fine. Use that unfounded argument when the pathologist does my autopsy. TSK. Aren't you supposed to be at practice? No, we have the day off." Ah. Sakusa turned around to face Atsumu fully as the latter took a seat at the kitchen island of their shared apartment. He frowned upon seeing the deep, dark circles under his roommate's eyes. "Did you sleep well?" And, unsurprisingly, Atsumu lied through his teeth. "MHM. Sakusa narrowed his eyes. He had a feeling this would have to become an interrogation. "Did you just wake up?" "Yeah. How long did you sleep?" "I dunno." "When did you go to bed?" Atsumu leaned back in his chair and groaned loudly. "Geez, why are you being so nosy? It's like yeah my ma or something." Sakusa rolled his eyes in response and crossed his arms. "When?" "Round midnight, Mama Omi." Sakusa grimaced at the nickname. "Don't call me that. And, if you went to bed around 12, then why did I see your bedroom light still on when I woke up at 6? Atsumu shrugged and sighed. "Sleep hasn't been common too easy these days. It's whatever. I'm fine." Eager to change the subject, Atsumu stood up from his seat and walked around the island to stand with Sakusa in the kitchen. "Whatcha cookin'?" Sakusa's brow twitched in annoyance. Atsumu definitely knew where the conversation was headed. But Sakusa didn't push the matter. "Just some rice. I'm making tamago cake gohan." Atsumu hummed as he leaned against the kitchen counter. "Cookin', cleanin'. Omi, you do it all. Yeah, practically my dream husband." Sakusa felt his cheeks flare up. Atsumu had that effect on Sakusa a lot. Before, Atsumu's flirting was met with Sakusa's irritated groans, frowns, and rude remarks. Over the past year, though, Sakusa found that he was forcing himself to appear irked by Atsumu's flirting. He actually started to like it, look forward to it, though he would never admit that. "Stop spewing out nonsense, Mia." Atsumu pouted, and for a fleeting moment, Sakusa almost thought it was cute. Pushing the thought to the back of his head, Sakusa turned off the stove, seeing that the rice was finished. "I got demoted to Mia. Is this the start of our first argument as newlyweds?" Sakusa whipped his head around to give Atsumu a look that told him he best get out of the kitchen before steaming hot rice suddenly found itself in his eyes. "I'm kiddin', Omi-kun. Anyway, lem go wash up while you cook." When Atsumu disappeared into the hallway, Sakusa let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Atsumu was getting worse every day, and there was no denying it. Before he could sink deeper into his thoughts, Sakusa felt his phone buzzing in his back pocket. Private messages with Thing 2. "Hey. How has Atsumu been? Hey. Not too good. I'm pretty sure he slept for less than 3 hours last night. God. Yeah. I don't fucking know why but he doesn't wanna talk to me. No matter how much I bug him. Stubborn little shit. Must run in the family." Osamu being done with Sakusa. Sakusa feeling content with himself. "Has he told you anything?" "No. If he doesn't want to talk to his own brother, why would he talk to me? I mean, y'all are literally besties. Don't ever say that again. I'm being serious. You guys hated each other's guts when you first became MSBY teammates. But then 2 won your first game together and started hanging out more. And you've gotten so close that you're even sharing an apartment. Enemies to lovers type shit. And, no, Sakusa didn't feel butterflies in his stomach upon reading that last line. His heart definitely didn't start beating faster at the idea of Atsumu being his lover. Because why would he want that with someone like Atsumu, anyway? Contrary to popular belief, turns out you can be just as aggravating as your twin. I'm going to block you. Calm down, Sakusa-kun. You're living out the fantasy of all his teenage fangirls. Firstly, no offense to Atsumu, but he is the embodiment of, insert this emoji that represents the devil's porn. This is no fantasy. Secondly, I get the impression you're trying to instigate something to distract yourself from the fact that you have no love life.
Out of pocket for that shit.
My point is, I thought he could at least talk to you. I thought he could talk to someone. Out of everyone in our family, he's taking our granny's passing the hardest. It's been almost 3 months. He's not talking to anyone about it, and he's just getting worse. I'm really worried. ... I'm worried too. I've gotta get going now. Customers are starting to roll in. Let me know if you get anything out of him, okay? I will. Alright. Thanks. No problem. Putting his phone back in his pocket, Sakusa let out a sigh, Atsumu the only thing on his mind. While Atsumu was taking his lavishly and unnecessarily long shower, Sakusa got down to business. He did some research online on how to cheer up a friend and looked for nice places he could take Atsumu nearby. He also texted Osamu to ask him what were some of Atsumu's favorite things, though it turned out Sakusa knew all of them already. After about 2 hours in the bathroom, Atsumu finally stepped out. Sakusa looked up from his phone to look at his roommate, his eyes widening. Atsumu was wearing black cargo pants, paired with a large, light beige sweatshirt with the kanji for tasty on the front in a bold, black font. Sakusa's eyes trailed up Atsumu's body, taking in how well his attire looked on his strong, lean frame. He took note of how the pale cream of the sweatshirt only illuminated Atsumu's soft, chestnut eyes. The handsome sight of Atsumu gave Sakusa a warm, tingly feeling, and the thumping in his chest was overwhelming. He found that he couldn't stop himself as he blurted out. You look really good. What? Shit. That definitely was supposed to be kept inside his head. Sakusa swallowed his pride, and his heart, which felt like it was going to leap out of his throat at any moment. You fixed yourself up nicely. Oh, thanks. I mean, you texted me to dress nice while I was in the shower since we're going out? Ah, yes, let's get going now. What happened to breakfast? Well, it's almost lunchtime now. I was thinking we could just go out to eat. Atsumu perked up at that. Oh. Then what are we waiting for? Sakusa chuckled as Atsumu bounded towards the door. He began to follow Atsumu until he spotted something on the kitchen island that he had forgotten. Atsumu? Atsumu, who was already at the doorknob, turned around slowly. Omi-kun? Sakusa was standing in front of Atsumu holding out a bouquet of baby pink peonies. I went out to get groceries while you were in the shower, and I saw these in the window of a flower shop I passed. I know peonies are your favorites, so this is for you. No, Sakusa wasn't lying about that. He totally hadn't done a Google search for a flower shop near him and driven half an hour there just to get Atsumu flowers. He definitely didn't do anything of the sort, because that's only something he would do if he were whipped. Which he was not. Atsumu took the bouquet and stared down at the flowers. Yeah, being oddly nice today. Suspiciously nice. I'm not sure if I like it. Despite his words, he looked up to give Sakusa a small smile. Thanks. After Atsumu walked past Sakusa briskly to find a vase for the flowers, Sakusa allowed himself to grin. Atsumu's first smile in weeks. It was a tiny one, barely there, but a smile nonetheless. Sakusa mentally patted himself on the back. He was off to a great start. Atsumu and Sakusa were sitting at a booth of a family-owned restaurant just a few miles from their apartment. They had gone to it a couple of times in the past, and each visit they left satisfied. It was neat, quiet, and reserved, much like Sakusa. He always thought of it as a hidden gem. The only sounds that filled the restaurant was low jazz music, the sizzling of food, and the clanging of pots and pans behind the kitchen counter, and the sounds of Atsumu eating. Atsumu was practically inhaling his food like he was an old 2005 Eureka vacuum, and he was eating as loud as one. Sakusa was watching in slight awe at the sight of Atsumu chowing down on his fatty tuna sushi, pausing only to take a swig of his iced water, and then pouncing back on it instantly. Atsumu must have felt Sakusa's, very obvious, stare on him, because he slowed down his eating and looked up at him. 𝘠𝘀𝘭𝘭-𝘵𝘪𝘮? Sakusa only blinked at Atsumu. This guy was unbelievable. Atsumu, swallow. Atsumu did as he was told before repeating his question. Do you want some? No, it's all for you. So why are you staring at it like that while I eat? Sakusa felt his heart skip a beat. Yes, he was staring at the sushi. Definitely not at Atsumu, who happened to be eating the sushi. Because you're tearing that sashimi up like a garbage disposal. Huh? You're eating like you're expecting the fish to run away from you. Rest assured, Atsumu, it's already dead. No need to kill it a second time, that's just plain inhumane. Not. You are. It's not your last meal, Atsumu, take it easy. Before Atsumu could retort, his mouth full of raw fish, rice, and soy sauce, Sakusa cut him off. And stop trying to talk with your mouth full, it's disgusting. Atsumu rolled his eyes and swallowed the food in his mouth. Say, Omi-kun? Yeah? Do you like anyone? Sakusa nearly spat out the tea he was sipping. Why the sudden question? Dunno, I was just thinking about how this would be a nice place to take someone out to. And I realized that I've never heard you talking about going on a date with anyone. I've just never prioritized dating. My main focus right now is volleyball. So you wouldn't date anyone right now? I'm not opposed to dating or anything. I would date, if it were with the right person. What about you, though? As far as I know, you haven't been on a date in a while. Atsumu sighed. 'Cause I've had the biggest crush on the same guy for months. Sakusa's heart broke a little. Atsumu liked someone? But, then again, why would Sakusa care? I don't think he'll ever like me back. I know he swings both ways, but he's not swinging my way. I've been flirting with him for months, and I'm pretty sure he thinks it's a bro thing. Sakusa watched as Atsumu buried his face in his hands. Atsumu, you flirt with almost all of your friends. He probably can't tell the difference. Atsumu dropped his hands from his face with a huff. I hate that, yeah, probably right. I really hope he does like me, though. I've never liked anyone like this before. As Atsumu played with the straw in his cup with a dreamy look in his eyes, Sakusa found a dark feeling swelling up inside of him. Was this jealousy? Sakusa tried to bury this novel feeling as he searched his brain for the right words to say. Atsumu, I've literally never seen you get rejected before. I hate to admit it, but you're attractive. I'm assuming I don't know him, but he probably likes you. And, he's missing out if he doesn't. Atsumu looked up from his cup with his cheeks tinged pink and a surprised look on his face. You really think that of me? It was Sakusa's turn to flush pink. I guess I do. Awkward and embarrassed, the two returned to eating. After a while, Sakusa cleared his throat, gaining Atsumu's attention and causing him to look up from his sushi. Atsumu, how have you been lately? Atsumu inhaled sharply, and it took him a few moments to answer. I'm doing okay. No. Sakusa was not going to accept that shitty answer. Atsumu. How are you doing? Really? Atsumu stared into the abyss of Sakusa's deep, dark eyes and let out a sigh. As good as any volleyball freak can be when he can't play no more. Atsumu, it's not like you'll never play volleyball again. Coach is just having you take some time off, and you know he's right for doing that. It's important to take some time off for the sake of your health, Atsumu. Mental and physical. It's been almost a month. And you're still not at your best. Atsumu let out a long sigh and sipped some of his water. Do you want to talk about how you're really doing? Not right now. You said we're spending the day together, right? I don't wanna ruin the mood. Now that I think about it. Whoa, that's a first. We've never hung out like this, just you and me. What do you mean? We hang out sometimes. Sure, but nothing like an all-day outing. We usually do that type of thing with the team. And Atsumu was right. Atsumu and Sakusa sat in silence as they both thought of this, their thoughts being interrupted only by the waitress politely placing the bill at the edge of the table before walking away. Atsumu started to dig in his pocket for his wallet, but Sakusa raised his hand to stop him. You are not about to pay for this. This is my treat, and this is your day. I don't get it. Why are you doing all of this? Because we're friends, Atsumu. I don't show it, but I really do care about you. It's weird and unpleasant not seeing you all cheery. I just want to make your day better, even if it's by a little bit. Omi. Thanks. You don't have to say thank you. That's what friends are for. Sakusa cleaned his hands with a wipe and put on his mask, but not without flashing Atsumu a genuine smile first. I want you to have a good time today, seriously. Come on, let's get going, yeah? Okay. Omi, you fucking suck at this. Shut up. Sakusa was currently grasping onto the barriers for dear life at the ice rink he was in with Atsumu. He was wearing warm, black knitted gloves, of course. God knows how many people who were just as helpless as he was had held onto the very same barrier. Just the thought of grimy fingers, spit, snot, and influenza made Sakusa's skin crawl. Besides, it was an ice rink. It would be cold. Even if he fell on his ass, which seemed very likely, his hands would be safe from the germs of the barrier and the burning cold of the ice below. Meanwhile, Atsumu was skating around with such ease, even turning on the ball of his feet effortlessly so that he was right in front of Sakusa, facing him while skating backwards. Sakusa scoffed. You're such a show-off, Atsumu. Not my fault, I'm just so good at everything. I'm a bit embarrassed to be hanging around the likes of you when you can't skate for shit. Meanwhile, I'm being all graceful. If those types of thoughts are what help you sleep at night, then who am I to judge? HMMPH. Sakusa laughed at Atsumu's familiar pout as he continued to skate forward as best as he could with the help of the barrier. Omi-kun, you look like you're hiking Mount Everest. Your talent's only reserved for volleyball, huh? I can't ice skate. I'm trying my best here. If you knew you couldn't skate, then why are we here? Because this is for you, and I know you love ice skating. Atsumu flushed slightly, looking away from Sakusa quickly. Well, it's not that much fun if we're not skating together. He turned to look at Sakusa again, his hazel eyes glittering in the bright, white lighting of the ice rink. His lips were stretched in a wide, closed-mouthed grin that tugged at Sakusa's heart. Can I? Atsumu stretched out his hand. Hesitantly, Sakusa placed his gloved hand in Atsumu's bare one, lacing their fingers together slowly. Suddenly they were two shy teenagers that were holding hands for the first time. This doesn't make you uncomfortable, does it? No, this is fine. With pink cheeks, Atsumu slowly tugged Sakusa away from the barrier and skated further away from it. Easy now, Omi, easy now. Gripping onto Atsumu's hand, Sakusa tried to steady himself out in the middle of the ice. I look like an idiot. I am not about to fall on my ass and embarrass myself in front of children. Atsumu, take me back to the barrier. Nah. Atsumu gave Sakusa a lazy smirk as the latter grumbled and furrowed his eyebrows in frustration. It's my day. And you're gonna have to put up with my wishes. You're insufferable, Mia. So I've been told. Barrier. Now. Come on, Omi, it's not even that hard. Easy for you to say. I won't let you fall, Omi. Just hold on and follow my lead, you'll get it eventually. It took a little while, but Sakusa finally started to get the hang of it. Still, he held on to Atsumu's hand. The two skated around the rink for a little while longer, just enjoying each other's company and the feeling of their entwined hands. Sakusa was a mess. His face felt hot, and he could only hope that his mask covered up his blush. His heart was beating so fast, he was sure it would burst out of his chest at this speed. Omi, you're all red. You're tired? Wanna sit down? No, I'm fine. The rink is closing soon for ice maintenance, let's just make the most of our time here. The small smile Atsumu gave Sakusa made his heart flutter. Yeah, let's. Private messages with Thing 2. Sue. Are things going well? They are. He's starting to be annoyingly haughty and rude, so. I take it that Atsumu is feeling a bit better. That's a relief. Thank you, Sakusa. What for? For being there for my brother when he won't let me. You didn't hear it from me, but he talks about you a lot. Really? Yeah. All how great his Omi is. So I'm sure it means a lot to him that you're doing all this. Oh. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he had a crush on you. Sakusa reread Osamu's last text far more times than he would like to admit. Hello? No response? Sorry, I got distracted. Atsumu doesn't have feelings for me. Did he tell you that from his own mouth? No, I just don't see him ever viewing me in that light. The way you say it makes me wonder if you want him to. Sakan? No. Do you? No. Like? No. Atsumu? No. Unconvinced Osamu. ... I don't think I do. I don't think I do. He said the exact same thing a while ago. Well, I've gotta get back to work. See ya. Thing 2 has gone offline. Before Sakusa had the chance to question further, Atsumu stepped out of the ice rink's bathroom. Sakusa tucked his phone back into his pocket as Atsumu adjusted his sweatshirt. So, dearest Omi, are we doing anything else? I was thinking we could go to that shopping outlet nearby. We can just stroll through, and if you see anything you'd like, I'll get it for you. Atsumu's eyes lit up instantly. Really? This is better than Christmas. Sakusa snorted as Atsumu spun in a small circle with his hands in the air, nearly knocking into someone trying to get to the bathroom. Yeah, just don't spend all my money. I won't, promise. The two made their way out of the ice rink and into the parking lot. As Sakusa took out his keys, Atsumu tried to snatch it from him, only to be swiftly avoided by Sakusa. What are you doing? I wanna drive there. You planned all this out for us, and you're even paying for it all. So lem at least drive for ya. Atsumu, you're a horrible driver. I'm not. R2. The last time I was in the car with you while you were driving, you floored the accelerator at a red stoplight. ... That was an accident. I don't know how you got your license. I'm a good driver, honest. I just got a little too excited about you letting me drive your car for the first time. Your excitement could have killed us. But it didn't. I had to pay a fine. I paid for some of it. Sakusa narrowed his eyes. You should have paid for all of it. Ugh. Atsumu crossed his arms and turned away from Sakusa with a displeased expression. Are you throwing a mini temper tantrum in a parking lot? Maybe I am. Sakusa rolled his eyes for the nth time that day. He unlocked the car doors before throwing the keys in Atsumu's direction. Don't kill us, please. Atsumu gave Sakusa a lazy salute as they entered the car. Roger. Atsumu did not keep his promise from earlier. At nearly every other shop or stand they passed, Atsumu would let out a, hey, Omi, or Omi, look, or, occasionally, Omi-kun, do you mind getting this for me? And, yes, Sakusa did mind, because Atsumu was going to drive him broke at this rate. But when Atsumu looked at him with those warm, doe eyes, his brow slightly raised and his lips in a slight smile. Sakusa would pull out his credit card instantly and simply didn't look at the price tag. God, he was whipped. Sakusa's phone buzzed in his pocket, but both of his hands were currently occupied with huge shopping bags. Meanwhile, Atsumu was walking with a pep in his step, licking ice cream as he sang a song that played earlier on the radio. Atsumu, please, you sound like a frog being squashed. Please stop singing and help me out with some of your bags. If you didn't say that first bit, I might have been kind and helped you. HMPH. Atsumu giggled and turned around to walk back to where Sakusa was struggling with the bags in his hands. He finished his ice cream and pulled the bags in Sakusa's left hand from his grasp. I was just joking. Stop looking at me like that. Jokes are supposed to be funny. Oh. No wonder I have to hold back a laugh every time I just look at you. Atsumu turned away and started walking again, not noticing Sakusa's death stare. Sakusa sighed and caught up to him, the two of them walking in a comfortable silence. Suddenly, Atsumu stopped in his tracks. Sakusa walked a few paces before noticing Atsumu was no longer next to him, backtracking to find him staring at yet another stand. The stand was selling stuffed animals in all colors of the rainbow, some being able to fit in the palm of your hand while others were 5 feet long. Atsumu was staring at a large, orange fox plushie. His mouth was slightly agape as he let out a quiet gasp, his eyes big as saucers. He looked like a little kid that had just entered a candy shop. Do you want the plushie? Atsumu nodded wildly. Atsumu. Omi. You are a 26-year-old man. That I am. And that is a 4-foot-long stuffed animal. That it is. Why in the world do you want it? Sakusa knew he was being a little mean, but he was also genuinely curious as to why Atsumu was so entranced by it. Atsumu glanced at Sakusa. It reminds me of Granny. Atsumu sighed wistfully. She used to call me and Samu her lil sly foxies when we were kids. And as a joke, when we got older, she'd give us fox-themed things, like pajamas and notebooks and such. That plushie, she would probably give that to us as another one of her cutesy lil fox-themed gifts. Sakusa nodded slowly. I'll get you that plushie on her behalf then, okay? Atsumu smiled in appreciation and spoke softly. Thank you. Sakusa nodded before going to the stand, returning shortly with the stuffed animal. Atsumu squeezed it tightly and buried his face in its neck for a few seconds before looking back at Sakusa with a sincere smile. Though Atsumu couldn't see it because of his mask, Sakusa was smiling back. It's starting to get late. Shall we head out? MHM. They began to make their way back to the parking lot. There were a few minutes of silence before Atsumu spoke up. Hey, Omi? Yeah? Any more stops on our date? Sakusa raised an eyebrow at Atsumu. Date? Oh, I didn't mean it like that. I'm not tryna make this a date, I mean, I wouldn't be mad if it were. Wait, why did I say that? What I'm trying to say is, Sakusa never thought he would see the day where Atsumu would flush and stutter like he was right now. It took nearly everything in him not to laugh. Sakusa knew this side of Atsumu was rare, so he decided to enjoy it and tease him a bit. I wouldn't mind if this was a date. That seemed to make Atsumu short-circuit. But. I mean, we. Are you serious? A red hue crawled up Sakusa's neck and reached the tips of his ears at the question. He didn't dare face Atsumu as he spoke. That's something you can figure out yourself. The two continued on their way through the shopping outlet, elbows bumping into each other along the way, both of them feeling happy and warm inside. Wow, what a day. Atsumu and Sakusa were sitting on a picnic blanket in the grassy area of a park, each holding a stick of 𝘰𝘭𝘭 as they watched the sunset. Why no, Omi-kun, when you became my teammate, I never imagined you'd become my sugar daddy, too. I am not your sugar daddy. Daddy Omi. Sakusa blushed and turned away from Atsumu. Don't call me that. Oh. You're not into it? Atsumu turned his head around quickly, pretending to check if anyone was watching them. He then turned back to Sakusa and lowered his voice to a whisper. If you're into it, you can admit it to me, I won't tell. You're impossible to deal with, 𝘠𝘀. Atsumu clutched his chest dramatically as if he had been struck by an arrow there. Really, Omi? Back to 𝘠𝘀? I thought we got closer today. You wound me. Sakusa shook his head with a smile as Atsumu laughed a little. So, did I make today fun? Did ya? This is the most fun I've had in months. I really needed this, Omi-kun. Ever since Granny passed, everything's just been shit. Sakusa stayed quiet, beckoning Atsumu to continue. Up until our 3rd year of high school, my parents traveled a lot for work. My ma and dad would only be home for weeks at a time. It was my granny that raised me and Samu. Atsumu took a shaky breath and a bite out of his squid, chewing slowly and swallowing before continuing. She was always there. Even when I was being nothing but an annoying brat, she loved me. Even when she told me to be careful and I was stupid and ended up getting myself hurt, she put a band-aid on me. Even when I went to that one party in my 2nd year and got wasted, even though I was underage, she didn't even yell, just nursed the hangover away. Whenever I feel like I don't even have Samu, I have her. When she died, I lost a sweet old angel, one of the most important people in my life. As Atsumu's breathing got heavier, Sakusa grabbed onto his hand and squeezed it gently. Take your time. Deep breaths, Atsumu. Atsumu nodded and complied, taking in a deep breath and exhaling. She was a strong woman. But she was also old. I knew she would die eventually. I mean, mourn, we all will. And I know she lived happily. So why am I feeling like shit? She died peacefully in her sleep, and it was her time, so why am I so depressed about it? I'm tired. I'm tired of not feeling okay. I tried to distract myself with volleyball, but clearly I was playing like ass and bringing everyone down with me. Why else would coach force me to take a break? No matter how I try to distract myself, it doesn't work. I just keep thinking about her, and I just keep getting worse. It's been fucking months. Samu is doing okay, why aren't I? Atsumu. Sakusa used his hand that was holding onto Atsumu's to pull Atsumu closer to him. He allowed Atsumu to rest his head on his shoulder and squeeze his hand as he cried. Atsumu, you're allowed to feel sad, you know. She's your grandmother. And she's helped shape you into who you've become. I really can't imagine what you're feeling like right now. But I do know that you're forcing yourself to bottle up your feelings by attempting to distract yourself from your grief instead of talking about it with someone. I thought it'd just be easier to sort through my feelings myself, you know? And did that turn out to be right? ... No. Exactly. Sakusa let go of Atsumu's hand to grab a napkin. He turned back around to gently wipe the tears from Atsumu's face, speaking to him as he did so. Atsumu. I'm here. We're all here. We miss happy Atsumu. Osamu, Suna-kun. Inunaki-san, Thomas-san, Mian-san. Bakuto-san, Hinata. And me. Omi. I really do care, Atsumu. I'm not always good with words, but, if you ever need anything, or anyone, I'm here. I'm always in your corner. Seeing you like this. It's horrible. Really, really horrible. Everything that I did today. Geez, what am I trying to say? I just want to make you smile. Just know that I'm here for you, until you start smiling again, and beyond that. Atsumu blinked at Sakusa a few times before wrapping him in a tight hug, his stick of 𝘰𝘭𝘭 forgotten and lying somewhere in the grass. You'll never know how much that means to me. Thank you. Sakusa slowly hugged him back with one arm, using one hand to hold onto his own 𝘰𝘭𝘭. Sakusa wasn't a fan of hugs in the very least. He found them gross, really. But for some reason, he liked this hug with Atsumu. He wasn't sure if it was because Atsumu really needed it, if it was because they were close friends, or both. And, maybe, it was because he really liked Atsumu. And it dawned on him that he wanted to share more of these chaste, intimate touches with Atsumu. He wanted to spend more days like this with Atsumu. Sakusa just wanted Atsumu. Atsumu pulled back from the hug all too soon, his large, dewy brown eyes meeting Sakusa's. His arms were still around Sakusa's neck, and he was close enough that Sakusa could see a hint of a dimple on Atsumu's right cheek as he grinned. Atsumu's mustard yellow hair gleamed against the sunlight. A soft pink was dusted across Atsumu's cheeks, and Sakusa wasn't sure if it was a blush or from the hues in the sky. As the sun set, coral and salmon and indigo danced across the sky, with wispy clouds sprinkled throughout. Sakusa thought the lighting only made Atsumu look even more perfect. He nearly kissed him right there. Nearly. Atsumu ate a lot of food during their outing today. Who knew what food particles could still be swimming around? Besides, Atsumu hadn't brushed his teeth since this morning. So instead of a kiss, Sakusa decided to do something equally romantic. "Oh, why'd you flick me?" "Just because. You ruined the moment. Sucks to suck." Atsumu grumbled as he removed his arms from around Sakusa's neck, resting his hands on the blanket and leaning back on his arms. He stared at the dazzling sunset with a smile even warmer than it was. "You know, Omi, this might be the best date I've ever been on." PFFT. This isn't a date. Ah, right. It's amusing how much you're set on it being one. I'll just have to ask you out properly sometime. You're shameless, Achu. Atsumu grinned without removing his gaze from the sunset. Achu? A nickname? Well, you have one for me. ... Is it okay? Atsumu turned to look at Sakusa, surprised to see how embarrassed and flushed his typically prickly, stoic friend was. He smiled widely and laughed at the sight, and Sakusa swore time stopped. Atsumu's shiny, pearly whites were on full display, his grin stretching from one ear to the other. His eyes were squeezed tight from his broad smile and his booming laughter. It was Atsumu's best smile. Sakusa's favorite smile. After a few minutes, Atsumu calmed down from his laughter and wiped tears from his eyes. He found Sakusa staring at him, and he smirked as he looked right back. "Why no, Omi-kun, if you keep looking at me all lovingly like that, I might just fall for you." Sakusa decided to take a leap of faith. "I think I'd like that."